not everybody is going to like what we do. Is there anything on the back of this? It might feel like you're not good enough. You doubt your abilities. You're never proud about your achievements. You're constantly questioning yourself. Because I'm not an expert, guys, okay? I think I'm hindering my own success because I'm actually scared of what it might cost. What are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to fix this problem? I've had enough. I've had enough, guys. Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the Lens Community Podcast. Now today's episode is a little bit of a trial and error in terms of the setup. If you are listening on Spotify, there's also a video version, and this is a very last minute spontaneous decision that I've made, but basically I wanted to film video content to repurpose and use across other platforms. So I've decided to film this horizontally, and I'm going to be uploading this onto Spotify, hopefully that all goes to plan, but also on Instagram and YouTube as well. So let's, fingers crossed, this all goes really smoothly, but nothing ever really does 100% of the time. You know, you just got to embrace things going wrong, but fingers crossed this all goes okay, and it makes it accessible for you to be able to not only listen to the podcast episodes but also watch, and I can share snippets. But yeah, thank you so much for everybody listening and coming back to the podcast, and if you're new here, then welcome. It's really good to have you here. So today's episode is going to be all about imposter syndrome. I see this term get thrown around, and it's interesting. What does it mean? What even is imposter syndrome, and why might we be feeling this way and like an imposter? Lately, I've been doing some inner work, very deep rooted inner work, and I've spoken to a coach, and I've been advised to focus on my subconscious mind. And I went away and I've done a little bit of research, and I found it really interesting and so powerful. I did some journal work and learned a lot about myself. It felt confusing as to why I felt the way that I do. I was putting so much effort into things and not getting the reward that I wanted to, and it felt really frustrating, and I didn't understand why. So that's going to come into today's episode, but I'm using the term imposter syndrome because it has been requested, and it's something that I've seen a lot more in the creative industry. A lot of creatives use that term. So hope you enjoyed today's episode, and let's go straight into it. Now, I'm actually just searching a term right now so I can properly explain what imposter syndrome means, because I'm not an expert, guys, okay? Maybe that's my imposter syndrome. Oh my God. Okay. Imposter syndrome is a psychological experience involving persistent internalized feelings of intellectual or professional fraudulence. So it says here, despite clear evidence of success, hard work, and competence, individuals experience it, feel like they don't actually deserve their achievements. Instead, they attribute their wins to luck, timing, or deceiving others. So it seems to be that it's this fear of being a fraud. I actually also wrote some things down because I was having a look at imposter syndrome online the other day. And I wrote down shrinking and doubting ourselves. Oh, no, hang on a sec. Shrinking and doubting ourselves makes us more likable. and this is like a belief that is quite common. My notes are so vague and like, yeah. Is there anything on the back of this? Nothing that I would be worried to share with anybody. Competence is higher than confidence. I didn't write it down, but I did see people talking about how imposter syndrome is something that beginners feel. But I don't think it is. Personally, like from my own experience, I feel like an imposter, and I've been doing what I do for like a really long time, and I've got a degree. I went to college. I have been paid to do what I do. I've worked with multiple clients. Like the evidence is there, but I still just feel like I don't belong. So I'm not sure really whether it's something that only beginners face. Something that only beginners face and feel. I'm not too sure, but that's my personal experience. And I feel like you could excel at what you do, but if you don't recognise how well you've done for yourself, then you're going to always feel like you don't belong. That is actually something that I discovered during my journaling work, is that a belief that I have in my subconscious mind is that I don't belong. And I feel like that with a lot of things in my life, a lot of areas in my life, which is sad, but at least I'm aware that that is a belief that I have. I feel like that in so many areas of my life. It's not just in business. And if I'm feeling like that outside of business, then that actually affects my professional life too. Yeah, it like leaks through, and it comes into client relationships and collaborations, how I perceive others, how I perceive myself, comparison. Okay, let's close that. So what does imposter syndrome feel like? I've briefly just explained it, but I suppose it might feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you're behind everybody else. You're comparing yourself to everybody else. You doubt your abilities and you put yourself down. You don't have confidence in yourself, and you can't accept praise from others. You struggle to really own your success. You're never proud about your achievements. You never share things that you're working on. If somebody congratulates you, again, you're not accepting that praise. You're constantly questioning yourself. Are you capable of doing that thing? Is it something that you can do? Is somebody else better for the job? Are you good enough? Are you smart enough? Are you pretty enough? Are you kind enough? Do you have enough energy? Like, you just always feel like you're not good enough. So why might creatives feel this way? So it's linking that feeling that we might be experiencing, that a lot of people are experiencing in their personal life and on a day-to-day basis, and just their life overall. But how does that link into our professional life and our creativity and who we are as a creative? So creativity feels personal because it is personal. We feel it so deeply because our work is tied to our identity. Our work is who we are. It's a window into our mind, our thoughts, how we feel, our opinions. It's so personal. I repeat this a lot in my head now when I'm comparing myself to well, I try to repeat it. Probably more in my conscious mind than it is in my subconscious, but I'm making an effort to remind myself that not everybody is going to like what we do and what we produce and what we make and what we create, because art is subjective. Not everybody is going to like it, but I think that's where it's easy to struggle with imposter syndrome as a creative, because we're constantly thinking, trying to get the approval of others, because we know that it's opinion based. One person might like the art and another person might not. Well, they're not going to. There's going to be people out there that isn't going to like your art, because there's some people that don't like Picasso, and like it's opinionated. It's very, it's subjective, and there's almost like we create that pressure to create art for specific people, and we try to convince people to like the art because we know there's a chance that they might not, and it's not achievable, and we get disappointed when people don't like what we do. And then there's social media and being online, and it's really easy to compare ourselves to everything that we're exposed to. We're exposed to so much so easily at the click of a button, and a lot of us are very addicted to our phones and being online, and all it takes is to click open the app, and you might have an intention to quickly upload a piece of your work, but then your feed regenerates and a post comes up and you're looking at it thinking, is mine as good as that? Is my work as good as that? Or, oh, this person's busy. I'm not, I need to be busier. These are thoughts that I'm having. So I don't know how other people are feeling. This is something that I don't think is spoken about really, because people don't want to admit that. But yeah, it's really difficult when we're just constantly being exposed to other people's work. You're not intentionally going to the gallery with an open mind and, a good energy and the right mindset. And when you're exposed to that daily, all the time, it's a lot, and it's so easy to just compare yourself. And I guess with social media, but also just in general, offline too, we have to put ourselves out publicly. So going back to galleries, if you're a painter, then, you need to prepare the finish of your work. You need to hang it up on a wall. People need to walk inside of the gallery and they stare at it. That makes me so anxious, because it's like, well, what if they're looking at it and they're thinking negative things, and I can't convince them to like it. But art is just that thing where it is subjective, and it's more interesting to see something that makes you feel maybe a bit uncomfortable or uneasy, or you don't fully understand it. I mean, you can interpretalize. I do this all the time. I don't know if I'm dyslexic, but I get stuck on very specific words and I need to pronounce every single letter. So it really confuses me when I can't pronounce something. Interpretalize. I've had enough, guys. Interpretalize. Why can't I say that word? I can't even spell it. I can't even spell it. Enterprise. No. Why am I saying this so wrong? Okay. We have our own interpretation. Okay, we got it. We have our own interpretation and our own subjective opinion on art. So I can't even remember what I was saying now. But anyway, yeah, you get the point. So because we're putting ourselves out there, so publicly, offline, online, we have to be visible and we have to promote ourselves. And that can be a fear of being perceived in a certain way. there's a fear of being judged by others and being criticized, because you can't control what other people are going to think and what they're going to say. And you might feel like, that you're not going to share something just simply in case somebody doesn't like it. And some of us want success so badly, but we're actually scared of it deep down. And I think that's crazy, because all I've done is strive to succeed. And I might actually be scared of succeeding because of certain reasons. Personally, for me, I think I wrote down in my journal that I'm scared of losing people, love and safety. And that's why I'm not taking certain actions to succeed. Because I've got really big goals in my head for myself and what I want. There's certain aspirations and things that I want to do in my life and have. And I hold myself back from making certain choices because I convince myself that I'm not ready and I need to do that first and I need to perfect this and I'm just not at the right stage yet. But that's not completely wrong. There might be a certain timeline to be able to achieve certain things, that you can't just jump from 0 to 100. You need to put in the work. But sometimes I think I'm hindering my own success because I'm actually scared of what it might cost. And I've had to move away from my family, and I've had to lose people to find myself. And then I think, well, what happens if I continue doing that? Who else am I going to lose, and what else am I going to have to remove from my life to gain what I want? And that scares me, because what I'm chasing after isn't actually what I really want, and I find out too late. And that's something that really, really, really scares me. And it came up when I was doing the inner work in my journal. So that's an example of being fearful of success. We also have belief systems that are actually being created as we're growing up. I think that the system conditions us to fear not getting things perfect, creating a fear around failure and rejection, when it's actually something that we should not avoid, because if we avoid that, we actually avoid getting it right and succeeding at something, because there's nothing in this world that you can achieve without making mistakes and getting it wrong. And I think, personally, I believe that there are systems in the world that create that fear. If it's not society, then it's our own family and people that are around us, that are close to us. There's things that influence us to believe certain things, and this belief system is now something that we have today as an adult, and it's very deep rooted, and it's very difficult to actually rewire certain beliefs, because it's something that was created when your body was still developing, and it's ingrained in you to believe certain stuff. So not feeling special or talented enough is a big thing. Perfectionism as protection and as a way of living. Always feeling like you have to be perfect. To not just achieve success, but to be accepted, to be loved as a human being, which is crazy, because we are who we are, and we should be accepted for just being, for just existing, not based on what we can achieve or provide others. I'm being taught to play safe. Again, not making mistakes, not getting rejected, not failing, playing it safe, not thinking outside of the box. Life is too short to not do stuff that is fearful and for not taking risks. Like, it's crazy that at points in my life, I believed that, you shouldn't take risks and that you need to be perfect. You need to go by the rules and, you can't be different from others. When our own uniqueness is our unique selling point, is actually what makes us stand out from others. And, we're not getting our dream job because we're the same as everybody else. But somehow we have been we convince ourselves that we need to be the same as everybody else to get the job. It's crazy. But yeah, I think I've definitely felt that way. And I think it's definitely a subconscious thought and belief that I have, that I need to be the same as everybody else. I'm actually trying to purposely not be the same so then I can rewire that belief. But it is really hard because we get influenced so easily and we want to be liked. I think that's a very normal thing that humans want, is to be accepted and to be liked, to be part of, the group, be part of the club, be part of the community. We're human beings at the end of the day. We're very social animals. So, we want to be around others. We want to be liked by others. But the cost of that is feeling like you're not good enough all the time because you're trying too hard to be liked by others and you don't even like yourself. So your subconscious mind is basically you repeating the same thoughts over and over again. It's the stories that you tell yourself about who you are. Yeah, it's your mind repeating familiar beliefs, and it's going to be one of those words again, isn't it? Familiarity. Oh, did I get that right? I think so. I'm not going to try that again. Is our comfort. We go back to what we're familiar with. I was listening to a podcast actually earlier today about envisioning our future and why it's so important to do that. And it really clicked something in my head because he spoke about, I can't remember the podcast name. I think it's called, wait, I'm actually going to get it up because I don't want to get it wrong. And, I'm all for giving credit to other people. And I haven't really listened to any other episodes, I don't think, but it was a really good podcast. The Mindset Mentor. To be fair, I do recognise the artwork, so I think I have listened to other episodes without realising. But the episode is called Your Subconscious Mind. And it was really interesting because he was speaking about how important it is to envision your future and what you actually want, because our mind wants to look at evidence and things that have happened in the past, and it's easier to believe those things because it's familiar to us, it's already happened to us, and it's things that we've been through, it's things that we understand and more familiar with. Whereas for somebody who has never travelled, say they live in a certain country, they've never travelled outside of the country at all, they're not going to know what it's like to travel and be in another country because they've never exposed themselves to it. It actually allows you to enter that world without actually being there. And he spoke about how you can expose yourself, going back to like the example of not exploring other countries. We could look at countries online, we can look at photos, we can look at images, and we can visualize those in our mind and how it might feel to be there, and learning the language and things like that. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to learn Spanish at the moment, and it makes me feel really connected to that goal. So it was really interesting to learn that. We become so used to speaking badly about ourselves and negative self-talk. It almost becomes automatic. We just don't realize the things that we are telling ourselves. And that's something that I learned when I was journaling, is that loads of these things were coming up, and I looked back at it all and I was thinking, that's horrible. That's really sad that I actually have those thoughts about myself, because every day I am thinking at the top of my mind, we need to speak kindly to ourselves. We cannot say out loud that we don't look nice today. And I never actually complain about the way that I look. And I think people around me actually don't realize how I might feel about myself. And that might be, my appearance, that might be my skill, my talent, my success in my business, how I feel about the way that I interact with people, my confidence. That's the thing, is when you're not saying it out loud and on the surface, you're not, you don't think you're an insecure person, but then when you actually delve into your subconscious mind and explore that and learn what are your beliefs, like what are your core beliefs, it was sad to realize that I actually believe those things, because I've made a conscious effort to, say I'm beautiful and I look really good today and hype myself up, when I don't believe, like, deep down that I feel that way. Maybe I'm actually consciously making an effort because I feel that way. You see what I mean? It's very interesting. So what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to fix this problem? It's basically rewiring your subconscious mind and your thoughts and your belief system. I would highly recommend to delve into your subconscious mind and get a piece of paper or use notes in your phone and search up some journal prompts and ask yourself some questions to really delve into. Do you know what? I'm going to share the questions that I used when I was journaling. Okay, so the first one was, what are the beliefs I hold about myself that might be keeping me stuck? When I think about success, what fears and doubts immediately arise? What stories do I What stories do I tell myself about who I am repeatedly over and over again? Where in my life do I not belong? Where in my life do I feel like I do not belong, or can't succeed? Which of my beliefs are inherited from family, society, or past experiences? And then at the end, what I did do was I took a photo of every single page and I put it into ChatGPT and I said, I did some journaling, and it came back and it told me what the most common beliefs that were coming up, that were like consistent throughout all of the questions, which I found really helpful. So I recommend to do that. I mean, you could probably do that yourself, but I just didn't know what to do with the information. I was like, I did this. Like, I finished my homework. Basically, ChatGPT came back with 5 core beliefs. And one of them is I don't belong. Second one is I'm too much, but also not enough. Third one is, if I succeed, I might lose love or safety, going back to what I said before. Next one, I have to do everything alone, which, crazy. All of these are like a smack in the face a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, I do think that. It's not even like I think that, I feel that on a day-to-day basis. It's just something I believe. It's not even a thought. And then the last one is, I don't trust praise or good things, which is, again, really sad, but hey-ho, it is what it is. I shared this with my partner, and, it was quite emotional, but it felt really, relieving to learn that, because I think even he thinks I'm so capable, like he sees something in me that I don't. And I think sometimes when pretty people say that they're ugly, it's like, oh, come on, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. Stop lying. You're trying to get attention. That sort of thing. But no, I actually do believe those things. And I might look successful on the surface, and I might, be succeeding at things and achieving stuff, but I actually have those beliefs, and it's not something to joke around about. And I think people will put you down because they think, oh, she knows that she's doing well, so let me put her back in her place and let me bring her back down to earth. But what people have actually done by doing that, I'm not saying my partner's done that, by the way, but what people have actually done by doing that, it reinforces that my belief is true. So you think you know people, but you really don't. And yeah, I highly recommend to delve into your subconscious mind and what your beliefs are first. And having that awareness and realizing what they are is important. Actually wanting to do the work. I mean, you're already listening or watching. So, you've already taken the first step. So let's now delve into it. Do that deep inner work. And it is really hard. It is really difficult, but it's worth it. And it means that you can actually start working towards a better, more positive belief system. I feel like there's this gap between what I want to achieve and my dream life and who I identify myself as. So it's about working on your self-belief and identity to be able to actually have the life and live the life that you want, and to be happy, to be self-confident, to believe in yourself, to achieve certain things. I mean, creatively, I'm not really going into projects believing that I am good enough and that I can succeed at it. And I'm putting on this mask, and that's basically what I'm working through right now is instead of, wearing a mask, it's rewiring my belief system, and taking that mask off is the goal, and just being myself and not worrying about what other people think. To an extent, obviously. I mean, it's business. You got to make your clients happy and all, but I think I worry about that way too much, and I worry about that more than the actual work. In a way, I guess that impacts how confident I feel doing the technical work, and yeah, it's a whole thing. I think, if you get it, you get it. So yeah, I've actually got a little list of how to rewire your beliefs. So the first one is awareness, building that awareness first. And then it's questioning your inner dialogue. So thoughts might pop up through the day, and it's about questioning those. The next one is recognizing thoughts aren't facts. So all of your thoughts are not facts, as much as you want to convince yourself they are. And I guess sometimes I think no, they are, they must be, but they're not. And they are just thoughts. Practicing visibility and, exposure, exposing yourself to things and being visible. Because if you're just hiding away all of the time, then you're never going to really be seen for who you are. And also building confidence through action. So that kind of links into the visibility part, because it's basically saying, to build that confidence, you have to take action. You have to expose yourself to the things that you fear. So, for example, I've been feeling not very confident with being on camera myself. So I've been doing podcasts, which is great. But today I actually took that step and I got the camera out and I started filming, and I can't really actually see myself from here. So I don't know what I look like, but I'm, it is what it is. And it's definitely going up. I've already told you guys that I'm doing it, which is good, because now there's pressure to just upload it and to not allow my fear to take over and stop me making an effort to, take action, to put yourself in places and things that feel unfamiliar and uncomfortable, which can be really hard, but it's a process. So, but that's the next stage anyway. And the last one is changing identity slowly over time. So I guess, once you've gotten to that point and you've started doing the inner work, over time your identity will slowly start to change. You'll be able to feel confident in yourself. Your belief system will actually empower you to do the things that you want to do. And it's not even the person you want to be necessarily. It's just being who you are, allowing yourself to be who you are. And if there's certain goals that maybe are, they seem like a bit of a stretch, don't convince yourself that, you know, you're not enough to be living that life. We're all human beings. We're all stuck in the same traffic. We're all capable. I mean, obviously, there are some challenges that some people face that others don't. Some people live completely different lives to someone else, which I can 100% appreciate. And I'm not saying that, you know, everybody can do the same thing, but we are all capable of doing it. We just need to find a way to do it. But some of us have the tools right in front of us and we just won't take action because we're just not them. We identify ourselves as someone who doesn't deserve that success or can't have a seat at the table, even though the table's right there, the seat's right there. It's a very simple action. You have the resources, you have the tools that you need, but you just won't do it. So yeah, my throat's actually starting to like hurt a little bit. I think I've spoken too much. So I guess the takeaway from today is that confidence is learnt and it is built. It's not something that you're just born with. And it's not like a personality trait. It's something that you can build. You know what? I really need a drink. Sorry, guys. My throat is dry as F. Nice. And still a lot of successful people feel insecure and feel like imposters. And I don't think that you have to be a beginner or be starting something to feel like an imposter. I actually think it's the opposite. It's when you feel like you're supposed to be good enough and you don't. So yeah, I mean, some people might put pressure on themselves at the beginning to be good at something. So that's might be where that came from. But there's so many successful people that feel insecure and feel imposter syndrome. And you don't need to fully believe in yourself to start rewiring your subconscious mind. You can start very small. And it's literally just by listening to this, watching this, becoming aware of maybe what your belief system is. And yeah, just taking it step by step, day at a time, maybe even working with a mentor. But yes, that's it for today's episode. There's a couple of things that I actually want to talk about, but I will leave that for another time. And if you liked today's episode, then I'm going to have to say multiple things now. I can't just say rate the podcast, leave a comment, like it, love it, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. And I want to know what your thoughts are about imposter syndrome and maybe some of the beliefs that you have as a creative or just in general. And yeah, let's create this space where we can just be open and talk about those things. And I'd love to chat and get back to you. Send me a DM. You can DM me at the Lens Community on Instagram, or you can leave a comment on the podcast episode or the video down below. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you enjoyed today's episode and video. I cannot wait to do this again. And yeah, I will see you in the next one. Thank you guys. Bye.